Yesterday was amazing, from the plenary on to the end of the day, where we had an amazing session of Fearless Dialogues, which was an amazing time for us some of us were there to connect in a different way that I hope we continue. We want to thank, in particular, so many sponsors this year that were supporting our diversity programs. This is the first time that we had that opportunity. So we really are grateful to those sponsors that should be on your screen now. I want to also give a big thanks again to Brenda Bushhouse and Lindsay McDougall for co-chairing the conference this year. Thank you. And of course, we want to thank the conference committee, and they're listed on the screen. The conference would not be possible, of course, without the hard work of this committee. They did the heavy lifting of reviewing over 650 submissions for 14 tracks this year. I also want to thank again the Western Regional Arrangements Committee, chaired by Laura Dietrich. Thank you to them too. Clap there. They helped to recruit volunteers and raise sponsorships, and they should be listed on your screen there. And then, of course, we want to give a big thanks again to the staff for all their hard work to make this conference happen. Okay, I want to also thank the Paul H. ONeill School of Public and Environmental Affairs at Indiana University for their ongoing and generous support of ARNOVA and the sponsorship of this luncheon. And I want to ask Kirsten Grenberg to please come up to the stage to say a few words. Hello.
Thank you. On behalf of the ONeill School of Public and Environmental Affairs, we are really very pleased to sponsor this signature event again. It confirms the strong connections between ONeill and ARNOVA, for some of us dating back almost 30 years. And during that time, our faculty and alumni have been very actively involved with ARNOVA as board members, as co-president, editor of NVSQ. We won major awards, presented papers, and in otherwise helped make ARNOVA the premier scholarly association that it is today. A few words about ONeill. We have a new name. We're still getting accustomed to it. The ONeill School of Public and Environmental Affairs. We have a new dean, Sean Mooney, and IU is celebrating its 200th anniversary. But we still house, the top-ranked nonprofit management program in the top-ranked MPA program in the country. And our Indianapolis location is housing the third-ranked nonprofit management program. In Bloomington, we have 102 full-time faculty members, of which more than a fifth, 22, are full-time faculty specializing in nonprofit leadership, philanthropy, arts management, and international NGOs. I believe that is the largest contingency of full-time faculty members anywhere. Of almost 600 graduate students benefit from experiential learning projects involving more than hundreds of partner organizations worldwide, including through our Service Corps and Arts Corps programs. Our 2,300, sorry, just a little bit different, undergraduate students may participate in our Nonprofit Leadership Alliance program and our Civic Leaders Center, which encourages civic engagement and exposes students to a variety of nonprofit leaders. Our ONeill International programs offers 22 programs in 20 countries, and most are available to all IU students, including ONeill Indianapolis and the Lilly Family School of Philanthropy. Both of the ONeill programs benefit from close and collaborative relations with Indiana University's Lilly Family School of Philanthropy, and that includes next year's conference that we will be jointly serving as a local arrangements committee. So I welcome you to ONeill next year. We are indeed very proud of our longstanding involvement with ARNOVA and we treasure our role in helping develop the next generation of nonprofit leaders and scholars. So thank you for the opportunity to stand before you today. And on behalf of the newly named ONeill School of Public and Environmental Affairs, I wish everyone a continued productive and enlightened conference. Thank you.
So its generous grants and donations help to make this wonderful conference and the scholarships and awards you're about to hear about possible. This year alone, you helped to provide support for over 100 scholarships and fellowships. And this includes students and emerging leaders in our field, aimed to encourage greater diversity. We hope that you will continue to support this work and support our new scholars through your gifts to ARNOVA's annual scholarship funds, and you can go to the homepage right now and make a donation if you would like. ARNOVA also continues to support our new scholars and students through professional development programming, and that committee this year, our professional development committee, was chaired by Khaldoun Abouassi and Mary Kay Gugarty, and we want to give them a big thanks for all of their work. And they work with an amazing group of program committee chairs, and I want to recognize each of them now and the scholarship winners. I'll ask them to stand one by one, or as a group. So first of all, I want to thank the Emerging Scholars Award Committee that was chaired this year by Ben Locke. Thanks a lot to the committee's service. They're listed on the screen. And I'd like to ask the Emerging Scholars Award winners if they could please stand and be recognized. Emerging Scholars. And I also want to give thanks to Jennifer Wade Berg and her wonderful committee, again, for organizing the Graduate Diversity Scholars and Leaders Professional Development Program. And this, could we please ask the Graduate Diversity Scholars if they could please stand and be recognized. And we're also excited to have the third year of the Undergraduate Diversity Scholars Program, and that was chaired by Christina Balboa. And we want to thank that committee, and they're listed there. And could we please have the Undergraduate Diversity Scholars stand? Another way that we're building the field for the future is through the ARNOVA Doctoral Fellows Seminar. I want to thank Mark Hager and his team, members of that committee who are listed on the screen, and I'd like to ask those doctoral fellows to please stand. And I also want to give thanks to the Conference Scholarship and Travel Grants Committee under the leadership of Zilka Bernick for their work reviewing conference scholarship and travel applications for this year. Thanks very much for that work. Thank you. As you can see, our member volunteers are at the heart of what we do, and perhaps none take on greater volunteer responsibility than our volunteer board members. I'd like to ask our outgoing board members to please come up to the stage. David Suarez, John Ronquillo, and Mary Shearhart. If you could please come up and receive a gift of our thanks. For all their hard work, they received the coveted ARNOVA Paperweight. Actually, Mary's a special, of course, because she's not only been a board member for quite some time, but the president, past president, she was president-elect. She has done so much for this association. So not only should she get the paperweight, but watch out. Yes. Thank you, Mary. John?
Oh, that's super nice.
All right, thank you so much. We're going to miss David, John, and Mary on the board, but we are excited to welcome some new board members that are going to be joining us. I want to ask them just to stand, please. Jasmine McGinnis-Johnson. Yes. And Murray Kim, who's here. You're going to see her more of her later. And our president-elect, Pierre Rogers. Wherever Pierre is. Woo-hoo! Yes. Okay, we have one more special recognition to do. We couldn't let this time pass without giving a special thank you to Sharik Siddiqui. I'm so crying. Thank you. As you know, for nearly 6 years, Sharik has played a critical role in the development and success of ARNOVA. His significant accomplishments while executive director have been many, too many to unfortunately list here. We wanted to express our deep appreciation with a small gift that expresses our collective sentiment towards Sharik. It's a little thought wordle, I guess. What do we call these now? Yeah, sorry. Word cloud, okay, word cloud of amazing things that describe Sharik. Okay, now I'd like to invite Murray Kim and Helen Liu to come up. They're co-chairs of the Research Awards Committee to serve as the Masters of Ceremony for the presentation of awards. And I want to thank them so much for their work in this role.
Thank you, Angie. We would like to first thank all the volunteers serving on the award committee this year. All the members that are serving on the committee are listed on the program on your seats, and their names will also appear on the screen. Please be reminded that photo will be taken during the award ceremony, and for the award recipients, please stop by the ARNOVA banners after the award ceremony for additional photo. So now, Mira, would you like to introduce the first award?
Okay, thanks, Helen. So now I'd like to invite Chris Pratice to present the Best Paper Award from 2018 ARNOVA Annual Conference.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to chair the Best Paper Award Committee. I want to quickly acknowledge the team members that worked with me to identify the best paper. Jason Coupe, Rachel Fayal, Tobias Young, and Judy Millison. A great big thank you to all of you for your diligent and timely work. Keep in mind, this was the best paper for last year. Last year we were in Texas. Before I get into the script and talk about the paper and the recipient, I want to say in addition to the very cool and official plaque that they're going to get from ARNOVA, I have an additional gift on behalf of the committee. So I commissioned a nonprofit in Wilmington, North Carolina, where I call home, a nonprofit called Kids Making It. They teach kids from disadvantaged neighborhoods basic woodworking and carpentry skills. So where were we last year? Texas. What's Texas known for? Longhorns, right? So any IP lawyers in the room, please don't sue me. I use the ARNOVA logo on here. It says ARNOVA Best Paper 2018. So in addition to the cool plaque, they're also going to get a Longhorn. So with that, we'll jump into the script. The winners of this year's, or for the winner of the 2018 Best Paper Award are Mark Wilhelm, Sarah Smith, and Kimberly Scharf. Title of their paper is Lift and Shift, the Effect of Fundraising Interventions in Charity, Space, and Time. I'm going to provide a quick synopsis of this important work. Fundraising interventions may lift donations and/or shift their composition and timing, making it important to study their effect across charity space and time. This paper finds evidence that fundraising interventions, including disaster appeals and telethons, increase donations to charities launching the appeal and, importantly, do not come at the expense of a decrease in donations to non-appeal charities. Indeed, it is the opposite. Other charities see an increase in their donations during the immediate aftermath of an appeal. It was really fantastic work. It's my pleasure to hand out the award. Representing the entire group of authors is Mark Wilhelm. Sir?
ARNOVA has established a number of partnerships to create opportunities for our members to pursue support research. One of these is with the RGK Center for Philanthropy and Community Services at UT Austin. We are awarding the RGK ARNOVA Presidents Award to sponsor a research project. May I invite Dennis Young as the chair of the award and David Springers of the RGK Center to present the 2019 ARNOVA RGK Presidents Award.
Thank you, Helen. First, I would like to acknowledge the members of my committee, Mary Shearhart and Rich Steinberg, for their good work on this award. The winners are Gary Adler, Damon Merrill, Rebecca Sager, and Jonathan Coley for their proposal on the context and beliefs of bureaucrats, regulation of local state, church-state relationships in a new era. And let me read the short version of what they have done. These authors observe that local church-state relationships in the United States today play out in new circumstances, reflecting increasing religious diversity and changing jurisprudence. In a pilot study, they found extensive church-state interaction, limited church-state conflict, buffering of interactions between religious organizations and the state by intermediary entities, and extensive bureaucratic involvement with religious organizations. Through a survey of local elected officials in the state of Pennsylvania, the researchers demonstrate how local context and individual characteristics influence the perceptions and behavior of local government officials. The study will offer insights into the religiosity of local officials and their preferences for church-state interaction, demonstrate how contextual and individual factors influence local officials' preferences and actions toward religious groups, and provide a tool for local governments and national associations of government officials to understand the boundaries of church-state interaction. And I think accepting the award on behalf of her co-authors as well is Rebecca Sager. This is a pretty nice looking plaque.
ARNOVA has also partnered with the University of Maryland DoGood Institute to award the UMD DoGood Institute and ARNOVA Global Philanthropy and Nonprofit Leadership Award. I'd like to invite Elizabeth Boris, the chair of the committee, and Angela Biss of UMD DoGood Institute.
Thank you. It was my pleasure to chair this committee, and I'd like to recognize the other committee members. We have Dwight Burlingame of Indiana University, Jasmine Johnson of George Washington University, and Sarah Pettijohn of the University of North Carolina, Charlotte. Great committee, and we really enjoyed reading the submissions. The 2019 University of Maryland DoGood Institute's ARNOVA Award for research on global philanthropy and nonprofit leadership is presented to Dr. Susan Appy, the Rockefeller College of Public Affairs and Policy at the University of Albany. Dr. Appy's research focuses on growing subset of international nonprofit and voluntary organizations founded by immigrants and refugees, and refugees, immigrants, and refugees as diaspora communities must navigate the philanthropic territory of both their U.S. communities and their homelands. International nonprofit organizations provide an outlet for this diaspora philanthropy. The total remittances from diaspora philanthropy has outpaced official development assistance, and many observe that the important role of these transfers of money, talent, culture, and other material goods have for development in their origin countries. However, there is less recognition about how these philanthropic activities impact countries and communities, and in this case, in this research, in the United States. Leading a team of graduate students, Dr. Appy will expand upon her database of international nonprofits founded by immigrants and refugees and chart those organizations geographically and demographically in the U.S. Then she will analyze founder stories, organizational archives, and materials to understand the motivations of diaspora philanthropy through the mechanism of international NGOs. Finally, she will conduct in-depth case studies to explore how organizations and their founders shape their local U.S. communities. The project results will uniquely add to our understanding of the dynamics and implications of diaspora philanthropy in the U.S. and communities on immigration and refugee issues, and what could be more topical. I want to present this award to Dr. Appy.
Congratulations, Suzanne. Through a partnership with charity Navigator, ARNOVA has established the Duncan Research Award on Philanthropic Impact. I would like to invite Len Benjamin as the chair of the committee and Dan Weiss of the charity Navigator to present the award.
Great. Well, thank you, everyone. On behalf of the selection committee, which included myself, Abhishek Bhatti, Joanne Carmen, and Elnor Ibrahim, I'm pleased to announce that Dr. Jody Sanford and Trupti Sarodi were selected to be the recipients of the Dugan Award on Philanthropic Impact for 2019. You'll note the correction in the program. The project proposed by Dr. Sanford and Trupti Sarodi seeks to bring together two evaluation methodologies, human-centered design and developmental evaluation, to examine whether they support thinking and innovation in nonprofit organizations. Their project involves a comparative case study of nonprofits developing two generational approaches to poverty alleviation. The two nonprofits are exposed to these evaluation methodologies, and which then function as a non-equivalent control sites. They will then track the evolution of these organizations as they engage with implementing the same policy to see whether the two nonprofits employing these methodologies show noteworthy differences in evaluative thinking and innovation in program design and development compared to the two nonprofits that do not employ these methodologies. The committee felt that this project was compelling for two important reasons. First, against the backdrop of an unceasing drive for simple metrics to judge and drive performance, human-centered design and developmental evaluations are methodologies that foreground complexity and context and are well suited for the kinds of social change initiatives that many nonprofits undertake, not just social service nonprofits. Second, the project is part of a larger policy initiative engaging both practitioners and researchers with the committee which the committee believed would support the translation of the research findings to nonprofit organization funders and policymakers. Thus, without question, the research produced by Jody and Trupti should be of interest to both academics and practitioners alike, and the committee congratulates both of them on an excellent proposal, and we look forward to seeing and hearing about their findings next year. And with that, I invite Dan Weiss from Charity Navigator to give the award to Jody and Trupti.
Through a partnership with the Arts by Charitable Foundation, ARNOVA has also established the Muhammed and Abdullah Ibrahim Arts by Charity Foundation ARNOVA Arab Philanthropy and Nonprofit Research Award. Now I'd like to invite Samir Abdul Rahman, the chair of the committee, to present this award.
Okay. I'm supposed to announce only one award, but I will announce 2 awards. The first one, and might be the most important one, is that our winner, his wife, is giving a baby in the next days. So this is the biggest award for our winner, Ahmed Banema. That's why he is not with us today. Sorry to use my position and power on the stage, as this is my last year to announce this award. I have been chair of the wonderful committee for the 3 years, and it's time to step out, and it's a wonderful moment. Our committee members in the last years was John Mikna, David King, Sabit Khan, and this year, Abdurrahman al-Hadloul and Rebecca Pina. Okay, now the second award, the small award, which is our winner, Ahmed Banema, winning in the Sibai ARNOVA Arab Philanthropy Award. He is a PhD candidate at University of Minnesota, and his proposal titled The Formalization of Volunteering in Saudi Arabia, How Does It Affect the Perceptions and Experience of Informal Volunteers Group? We please welcome, on behalf of Ahmed, Daniel Ching to receive the award.
Thank you, Samir, for your work. We will now invite Beth Gaisley and Paloma Rego, co-chairs of the 2019 Outstanding Article in Nonprofit and Volunteer Sector Quarterly, to present the award.
When considering the articles published in 2018 in Men VSQ, the selection committee looked for originality, significance, and contribution to knowledge to the nonprofit and voluntary sector. Exemplifying these qualities was the article, Does Ownership Matter in the Selection of Service Providers? Evidence from nursing home and nursing home consumer surveys by Avner Ben-Ner, Darla Haman, and Ting Rung. And I would ask Avner Ben-Ner to come on stage on behalf of his co-authors.
So we'll all be in nursing homes someday, so listen up. This article It's published in Issue 6, Volume 47. It provides an empirical evidence against the long-held idea that consumers would prefer the nonprofit form due to the information asymmetry and trust symbol it evokes, as explained in contract failure theory. The article makes an important contribution to the literature by challenging us to rethink the fundamental differences between nonprofits and for-profits. And the authors remind us that we still don't know much about the factors that affect consumer decisions in choosing between nonprofit and for-profit counterparts. The study found consumers prefer for-profit nursing homes as compared to nonprofits, even when nonprofit nursing homes are of higher quality. And the authors also remind us that we need to revisit classic yet important theories with empirical evidence and not to be afraid to challenge long-held ideas and thus push our knowledge further.
Now I'd like to invite Chao Go to present the MVSQ Best Reviewer Award.
Good afternoon. I would like to begin with a question. How many of you have submitted a manuscript to MVSQ in the past year? Please raise your hands. Thank you. And how many of you have reviewed a manuscript for MVSQ in the past year? Thank you. I want to give a big round of applause to everyone who has submitted and reviewed a manuscript to MVSQ in the past year. Thank you. This is the moment for celebration. On behalf of my co-editors, Angela Bees and Susan Phillips, who was sitting over there, it gave us tremendous honor and gratitude to really work with a number of wonderful authors and wonderful reviewers to really do our job. We can't do this job alone. And in fact, it's really the authors and the reviewers that are doing their jobs. We're just taking some credit, really, from the process. But each year we have the honor to choose one outstanding reviewer from the pool. It was not an easy job. It took us a lot of time. You have seen the citation from the book. But on behalf of the whole team, I wanted to announce that this year's winner goes to Dr. Per Svensson of Louisiana State University, USA. I'm going to read a portion of the citation. Dr. Per Svensson has, within the past year, conducted a total of 6 reviews in a thoughtful, constructive, and timely manner. With his expertise in sport management, organizational capacity, and social innovation, he has offered refreshing perspectives and diverse skill sets in his in-depth and thorough evaluations. Throughout the review process, he is critical and yet constructive, and reliable and unassuming, and often go extra miles to help authors improve theoretical and empirical contributions. So congratulations, Per, on this well-deserved award. There are many reviewers we want to thank, we want to give this award to, but there's only one plaque, so I'm sorry. The plaque goes to her.
May I now invite Mark Hager to present the NML Editor's Prize for Best Scholarly Paper in Nonprofit Management and Leadership.
Good afternoon, ARNOVA. I would hate to take the mic for my 2 minutes and make you all really uncomfortable with a lot of gushy personal detail, but it's important for me to start by saying my very favorite thing in the world is receiving a loving smile from my wife of 24 years. And that's important because now I can tell you my second favorite thing in the entire world is handing out the NML Editor's Prize. Each year, the editorial board of Nonprofit Management and Leadership selects the best paper published in the preceding year's volume. So this past summer, the board reviewed and voted on the best offering from volume 28, which spanned the 2017-28 academic year. Selection criteria include an article's contribution to knowledge in nonprofit management, leadership, or governance, the quality of writing and analysis in articles, and the usefulness of the information for practice. I'm pleased to announce that the 2019 Editor's Prize for Best Scholarly Paper in Nonprofit Management and Leadership is awarded to an article with 4 authors, Michelle Shoemate, Catherine Cooper, Andrew Pilney, and Macarena Peña-Illo for their article titled The Nonprofit Capacities Instrument. So just a few words about that article. Nonprofits are guided by internal efforts and external mandates to build capacity. However, scholars and grant makers are hampered by varied definitions of the concept, competing but untested models, and the lack of reliable and valid measures. This paper defines nonprofit capacity as the processes, practices, and people that enable an organization to produce, perform, and deploy resources to achieve its mission. An inductive confirmatory two-study approach introduced and then validated what the authors dub the Nonprofit Capacities Instrument, a 45-item measure of 8 nonprofit capacities. This research reinforces that nonprofit capacity is not a singular or second-order concept, but better described in its plural form, nonprofit capacities. So I hope you'll all join me in hearty congratulations to Professor Shoemate and her colleagues on receipt of this award.
I'd like to invite Steve Smith, the chair of the Gabrielle Ludney Memorial Award for Outstanding Dissertation in Nonprofit and Voluntary Action Research, to present this award. And I want to mention that Ludney Award has been made possible through an endowment and a donation from an anonymous donor, and thanks both for the support over this award.
Thank you very much, Mireille. First, I'd like to acknowledge my team members and committee members, Elizabeth Bloodgood, Concordia University, Tobias Young, University of St. Andrews, Heather McIndoe, University of Massachusetts at Boston, Lily Wang of Arizona State University. Before I announce the 2 co-winners, I'd like to first say a word about Gabe Rudney, who the award is named after. Gabe was an economist who was the first person to compile a major body of research on the nonprofit world, a towering task that he undertook in the early 1970s as research director of the National Commission on Private Philanthropy and Public Needs, commonly known now as the Fowler Commission. He also developed the first comprehensive statistical profile of the nonprofit sector, a national budget of the revenues, expenditures of the entire nonprofit universe. He was also a splendid colleague and mentor to countless individuals conducting research on nonprofit organizations and philanthropy. Indeed, Gabe was in the audience when I gave my first academic talk as a graduate student at the program on nonprofit organizations and philanthropy at Yale. I believe Melissa Stone was also in the audience. It was a long time ago, but I want to say that I'm personally indebted to Gabe, and it's a real honor to be able to present the award in his name to 2 very well-deserving winners. So first, I'd like to acknowledge Noah Jacob Isserman of the University of Cambridge. In his dissertation, Venturing into Public Good, From Venture Capital to the Creation of State-Supported Venture Philanthropy and Its Implications for Third Sector Financing. Noah focuses on the transfer and translation of private sector principles and practices to third and public sector organizations. To this end, his work examines the emergence, operational practices, and institutional arrangements of two British venture philanthropy organizations, carefully selected following a review of the full British venture philanthropy fund universe. Taking a mixed method approach combining archival research, semi-structured interviews and surveys, as well as quantitative analysis, the dissertation offers a new, creative, multifaceted picture on venture philanthropy. His research also highlights the work and benefits and inherent tensions and limitations and dangers in each of the venture philanthropy models presented in the two cases. Overall, his dissertation enriches and strengthens the theory, conceptualization, and practice of venture philanthropy, including the changing role of government as co-funders and co-producers of venture philanthropy. Noah. Which one is? Okay. Oh, that's not yours. Okay. 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 We should show it. Okay. Okay. And now to our second award winner. Cassandra Margot Chapman of the University of Queensland. Cassandra's ambitious dissertation, Toward a Triadic Understanding of Charitable Giving, How Donors, Beneficiaries, Fundraisers, and Social Context Influence Donation Decisions. It applies social psychological theories and intergroup relations to investigate the process and outcomes of charitable giving. Her multi-method study employs surveys, experiments, and thematic analysis and draws on diverse samples from 117 countries to show that charitable giving is triadic, relational, and contextualized. This important dissertation advances research on charitable giving by integrating diverse streams of research on charitable giving into a new conceptual model of the charitable triad. Decisions about donations are informed by a triad of actors: donors, beneficiaries, and fundraisers, the relationships between them, and the wider social context. The work contributes to several areas where Gabe Rudney made significant research contributions, including examining patterns of giving and international research. Cassandra.
We will now invite Abnar Bernard and Kirsten Grumbier to present two annual books awards, Outstanding Book Award and Nonprofit Voluntary Action Research, and the Virginia Hutchinson Research Book Award. Thank you.
So we have a committee that joined for the two awards. The committee consists of Kirsten Grumbier, co-chair, Emily Barman, Melissa Brown, Sabit Khan, Jessie Lassie, and Sylvia Sacchetti. So first I will present the ARNOVA Book Award to a book written by Sarah Straub and Wendy Wong entitled Authority Trap: Strategic Choices of International NGOs, published by Cornell University Press. This is a very well-written book, both theoretically grounded and robust and empirically rich. It is well written and it's a very enlightening reading. We are at a historical moment when the public expects international NGOs to intervene on behalf of the public with governments, with corporations, and with other nonprofit organizations to improve various situations around the world. The authors Straub and Wong identify a seemingly contradictory finding. In the international NGOs face, they seek authority to expand their influence. However, authority constrains the ability and the choices they undertake in order to achieve their objectives. Because NGOs, international NGOs, have multiple stakeholders and multiple audiences that have conflicting and contradictory interests, they need to balance the strategies of cooperation, competition, and condemnation. In order to balance these strategies to achieve their goals, they have to wield authority less than they would like to or they could in absence of this authority trap. The world of NGOs is rich, complex, and messy. There are many interacting factors that affect international NGOs' authority and success. There is their mission, the region of operation, attitude of states, and of course the international businesses with which they have to collaborate. The authors are able to identify directionality and causality by studying in detail authority in several case studies. They also come up with very interesting and novel definition of authority based on audiences, based on messages, and the book represents an achievement that is great in understanding how NGOs, international NGOs, behave. And now I call Wendy Wong to receive the award on behalf of herself and her co-author.
On behalf of the Joint Committee, I'm very happy to present the Virginia A. Hodgkinson Prize for the book Innovation and Scaling for Impact, How Effective Social Enterprises Do It by Christian Seelers and Johanna Mayer. This book explores successful social enterprises. It is a very practical and application-focused book. The authors make a key distinction between innovation and scaling processes and argue that organizational capacities for one does not necessarily translate into capacities for the other. Scaling involves here expanding the scope, including moving to additional sites, which creates its own uncertainties, particularly whether or not that new environment is similar to where you were operating in. Innovation, they define as decisions and actions aimed at creating impact, which is challenged by a number of specific uncertainties: how the problem is framed, the extent to which the proposed solution works or is adopted, whether the proposed approach aligns with the organization's stated values, the organization's capacity to learn from and sustain the way it implements its solution, and the scope and severity of unintended consequences, and there are always those. The authors urge private and NGO funders to engage with applicants to understand the distinction between innovation and scaling, and ask applicants to think through the potential problem spaces before they implement an innovation or scale to a new site. Specifically, they urge organizations to pay very close attention to 3 types of knowledge: what knowledge, That is, a deep understanding of the problems that they are trying to address. How knowledge, the resources and capacities required for effective solutions, and why knowledge, clarity about their own identity, strategy, and motivations. The committee believes this book will influence policy and practice globally. So I invite Patricia Bromley to come up and accept the award on behalf of the two authors who are at the other side of the Atlantic in Germany right now. So.
I'd like to invite David Hammock to present the Pierre Duncan Her History of Philanthropy Book Prize. This award has been made possible through a grant from GiveWare and Open Philanthropy Project.
I'd first like to thank the other two members of this year's committee, Stephen R. Porter, who was last year's winner, and Patricia Rosenfield. The three of us were delighted to report that the historical study of philanthropy, nonprofit organizations, and civil society is in such a thriving condition that this year we have co-winners of the Peter Dobkin Hall Prize. Authors of two different books, both of which we think will be debated for many years for their contributions to the study of philanthropy, nonprofit organizations, American culture, and international assistance and international dimensions of civil society. The first book I want to mention is listed on the screen. David Hollinger's Protestants Abroad succeeds in showing how American Protestants who tried to change the world, in his phrase, actually succeeded both in transforming Protestant communities in the United States and in changing America. In a book that is much more than a study of missionaries abroad, Hollinger shows how the Protestant establishment that through the 1930s and beyond dominated many key American institutions learned from experience in Asia, the Middle East, and at home to be more open and cosmopolitan. Through compelling stories of remarkable individuals and diverse communities, Hollinger lays out the complex history of this religious and cultural transformation with extraordinary clarity. Tori Olsen's Agrarian Crossings brings a fresh and arresting perspective to the study of agrarian reform and agrarian reformers, both in Mexico and in the U.S. South, challenging conventional notions of regional boundaries and calling attention to neglected engagements by both American and Mexican diplomats in the 1920s and 1930s. He makes the case for treating Dixie as part of a region that extends far past the southern border of the United States. Using extensive archival evidence, he shows how philanthropic organizations, notably Rockefeller's General Education Board and subsequently the Rockefeller Foundation, but others as well, played key roles in shaping private as well as government efforts to allay hunger and food insecurity as a way to address rural protest. He argues that persistent failure in the American South as well as abroad to address the fraught issues of race, ethnicity, and economic inequality doomed agrarian reform efforts, despite success with new seed varieties and the Green Revolution. So I'm delighted to present this award to Tori Olsen.
Thank you for staying with us until the last award. With or without award, I wish all our research touch and inspire the people around us. Could be our students, practitioners, policymakers, that I wish our research will all make impact. And before I introduce the last award, I also want to invite you to thank our staff and the conference chairs to give us a schedule minutes by minutes. So let's thank for their great work. So now let me invite Diana Mason to present the ARNOVA Best Poster Award. Come on up.
So I'm pleased to announce the winner of the Best Poster Award. First, I'd like to thank the committee members, Jody Benenson, Kathleen Gallagher, Sora Blal, and Hui Lee. This award is granted to the author or authors of a poster which successfully and concisely communicated a research question, the method and findings in print, and through a brief presentation to the judges. Posters were judged on both the quality of the research as well as the design of the poster. We actually had a really hard time making this decision, so we have an honorable mention. So I'd like to recognize one other poster before I invite the winner up. We'd also like to award a poster with an honorable mention. Nonprofit Sabbaticals, a best practice for advancing leadership development and successful succession planning by Michelle Schneider and Tessa Tinkler. This poster we noted for clear presentation of findings as well as for its practical implications for nonprofit management. And I think we all could use a break. So when there's a poster about sabbaticals, we all related to it pretty well. The winner, though, the winner of this year's poster award is Does Social Media Marketing Enhance Online Users' Positive Attitude and Behavior Towards Nonprofit Organizations by Bok Jung, Min Chan Hong, Megan Winokur, and Jesse Coronel. We were particularly struck by the interdisciplinary nature of this paper, along with its practical implications for online fundraising strategies. So Bok and Jesse are here to represent the research team today.
Okay, I'm the end of this. Congratulations to everyone. It was just really wonderful. I want to remind you that we have section meetings tonight. They take place at 5:45. Everyone's welcome to attend. Please check your program. We also have a reception tonight starting at 6:30 p.m. in the Harbor Island Ballroom. I think that's right here. Is it? I think, yes. And I want to remind everyone the next sessions will begin at 2:15 p.m. today, but before I let you all go, please take out your phones and your calendars for next year's conference. It's in Indianapolis next year, but it's a week earlier than we normally meet. And I want you to make sure you mark that in your calendars now so you don't accidentally come a week late. So we want to see you all next year. Thanks a lot. Good. Have a good rest of the conference.